Hey everybody, welcome to the Henifist Morning Show, where we talk about real health rooted in real tradition. So, nothing that we talk about here is intended to diagnose, treat, or prescribe. It's intended for educational purposes only. Today, we're going to talk about some fun stuff. But before I really get into that, give you a little bit about myself. I grew up with eight sisters and two brothers in the middle of nowhere. My dad delivered most of us at home. He started working with clients in 1980, never advertised a day in his life, and he got people better, and they talked about him. Over his 40 years of practice, he made herbal formulas to get the job done because things on the market just weren't working well enough for him. I got to benefit from all of his experience and then be able to go on to run 5 clinics on my own, eventually deciding to shut those down to learn how to get to more people. That may sound silly. I was working with a lot of people, but I wanted to be able to affect more people, so I got into sales. Did sales for a while and then again started my own clinic. Within just a year of starting it, I was seeing 140 clients a month without any advertising. You get people better, they talk about you. Okay, so that's briefly about me. I got my degree in herbology. I trained as a naturopathic doctor. I don't practice as a naturopathic doctor, but I was trained as such. So we're going to talk about a major fad these days, the keto diet. Okay. Now I'm saying a fad, and other people are like, oh no, this is a health style and all kinds of things. Let's actually look at the keto diet for what it really is. All it is a stressor. It stresses your body, and because of the particular type of stress it causes, you feel better. That sounds really weird, doesn't it? Because of the stress, somebody's texting me, okay, it's just an appointment. So, because of the stress that it gives you, you feel better. You even feel less stressed because of this particular type of stress. That sounds so weird and contradictory. But you can research it and look it up if you want to. I'm not going to recite a whole bunch of uh, sightings of other things like that. Not going to happen. For that stupid thing, I don't want it on the top there. Sorry, I had that little thing above my head. Got rid of it. Okay, so the reason that it works is the same reason that it's detrimental. Let's back up and talk about what's supposed to happen. Our body is designed for versatility. Our body is designed to have moments of stress. Our body is designed to have moments of excitement, and it's designed to have variety. Variety in diet, variety in experience, variety in all of these different things. And with any diet, what they generally do is limit variety. They force you into whatever you feel better with at the time. Doesn't necessarily mean it's good for you. It just means this is what doesn't irritate or bother you right now. But variety is what's beneficial in most. And you severely destroy your variety with doing a keto diet in multiple ways. You don't just destroy your food variety, you destroy your emotional variety. You destroy your stress variety. You force one specific variety of stress that overrides everything else, and that's your fight or flight response. They're taking advantage of your fight or flight response and your survival mechanism to put you into survival mode. When we talk about survival mode, it just doesn't click quite what's happening in survival mode. What does it mean to be in survival mode? It means that your body is going to shut down all non essential systems for survival and stop all non essential projects for survival. So if you to survive and do certain things, you don't need your digestive tract to optimize function optimally. It actually pulls a circulation away from your digestive tract and pulls circulation away from your reproductive organs, and the immune system is not allowed to recognize illness that comes in, and so you don't get sick. Your inflammation, your body can't have that inflammation right now, and an inflammatory response is saying there's something wrong here, we need to fix it, so there's some inflammation. All of that's going to be shut down and suppressed through the stress hormones that are created from going into ketosis. The only way you get into ketosis and start to have those ketones is that your body is stressed out sufficiently to create them. It does not go into that mode unless it's stressed enough to create it. The ketosis is a byproduct of being stressed that you can't get your normal fuel source that you would naturally get and naturally run on with glucose. And when we force our body into that, your body's like, oh, we can't get glucose, we can't do this. We have to create something that we can burn and continue to survive on. It is a byproduct of stress. Ketosis or ketones in our body and what we're doing with this diet is a byproduct of us being put into a chemical fight or flight, a chemical stress response. And in this chemical stress response, there's going to be more energy. Just you put yourself into a chemical stress response, this is what happens. It's just the natural nature of being in a chemical stress response. In your chemical stress response, you have more energy. You think clearer. You have less anxiety and stress and those kinds of things because those aren't valid to our current situation. So our body shuts them down and doesn't recognize them because it can only deal with one thing at a time. Our body cannot accept what's called cognitive dissonance. It cannot accept two opposing ideas at the same time. So it can't accept the type of stress that we're needing to deal with when it's in a fight or flight and being stressed about family and home and all those things are just distractors from the fact we've got to survive. We have to survive. What do we do to survive? How do we survive here? And it puts you into the survival thing. And the survival mechanism is there for a reason. And it's not bad to end up in survival every so often. It's not bad to get scared by a lion and have to run from them. It's not bad to get into these areas that we'd have to be in ketosis for a little while because we're out of grain, we're out of everything else, and we're doing something that happens to put us into it. That's not bad. What's bad is limiting variety. If you stay and you do long term do any ketosis diet, you're limiting variety. You're limiting variety of the different things that your body can burn. It has the ability to burn glucose, and it should be given the opportunity to burn glucose. It has the ability to burn ketones, and there should be times that it has opportunities to burn ketones. But if you force it into one or the other, you are forcing the body into a situation instead of supporting the body to operate properly. Your brain and all of the sub processes that it runs constantly, all the subconscious, the subconscious is running all of these organs and everything you don't have to consciously think about. Oh, make the heart beat, adjust this hormone or that hormone. But we're trying to regulate it. We're trying to get a hold of it and make our body do exactly what we want it to do. And you can't just, if you want to make your body do exactly what you want it to do, oh, you're just going to lose weight. You're just going to respond this way. Eventually, you're going to get very frustrated because you consciously don't have the capacity to run everything that needs to be run. You might find something that works and you push yourself into ketosis and it feels great. And then you may have a hard time keeping up because maybe the lifestyle is just hard because maybe you don't like eating those things, or emotionally it becomes harder because it's just impossible to consistently do the food wise. That's a massive aspect of it. Because remember, I told you it forces you into limitation. You are limited in the type of stress you're even allowed to feel in ketosis because it forces you into a specific type of stress that shuts down everything that isn't essential. If it's not essential to feel stressed out about your kid doing something, you may not feel it to the extreme degree. So it may feel like it fixes everything. It fixes everything. Whenever a lion chases me, there might be a thrill seeker, and some people actually do that. They're adrenaline junkies because they feel better when they're having an adrenal response, when they're having that fight or flight response. So the ketosis trend is kind of like back in the day. Right? Imagine we're back when we're cavemen or whatever, we have to deal with lions and everything. And this person doesn't feel so good. But one day a lion sneaks up on them and they run away and they're like, whoa, I felt great. And I felt great for a while after that. Everything went away, my aches, my pains. I felt great. Everything was perfect. And so what does this guy do? He goes and finds lions to run from. And so he's constantly running from predators. And so he feels great. So every day, the routine you need to do, the way you'll feel better, is every day you find a lion and you kick it in the tail and run. And you will feel great the rest of the day if you survive. That's basically what we're doing, but on a chemical way. We're chemically kicking a lion in the tail and running from it. Yeah, our ability to run from a lion and our ability to be worried, deal with fear and all those sorts of things is a good thing. But to intentionally kick a lion in the tail every day is not a good idea. You will fatigue a specific set of systems. You will fatigue what you overwork. And what are you going to overwork? Everything that's making you feel good right now. Everything that is working to make you feel like you currently feel on ketosis and everything feels great, you're overworking it by staying on ketosis. The only way that these systems that you are overworking will get rest is by being able to have variety of burning something else. Your body needs variety to burn glucose and to have different varieties of food so other systems can take breaks. If you're constantly running one system and ignoring the other ones that could actually help and continue to run and are designed to be the main ones that long term take the load, you're gonna fatigue it and eventually there's gonna be problems. You're going to cause serious issues down the road. Now, that's only one aspect of it. That's one aspect of why ketose is um, the keto diet is so dangerous. It works, but it is dangerous. To be on in ketosis for a little while is not bad, and to occasionally do it is not necessarily a bad thing. But to force your body into that state when it naturally doesn't want to get there, to do it all the time is not a natural state, is not a state of healing. It is a state of forcing. It is a state of not understanding and deciding that I want to feel healthy and have less weight despite my health. I want to feel good and look good even if I have terrible health. That's what it's saying. You're saying, I don't care about my health. I don't care about really feeling good. I'm going to do ketosis because it makes, well, sorry, you do care about feeling good, but long term is I don't care about my health. I care about feeling good right now. I want to feel good right now and I want to lose weight. And I will do it at the expense of my health. If you're willing to do that at the expense of your health, do keto. But if you're not willing to do it at the expense of your health, then you need to do something else. You need to long term actually figure out how to heal your body, how to get it to operate properly, how to get it so it can run on carbohydrates and run on proteins and run on the variety instead of locking yourself into, I can only run this variety, locking yourself into, I can only do this. You are limiting the functionality of your body to continuously be on a keto diet. A keto diet is not a long-term thing. And I actually would never recommend a keto diet. I've had individuals that are already on it and it's like, oh, it's making you feel good. Right now, I don't see that it's wrecking anything else. So whatever, you can do that. But there will come a time when it's wrecking things. There are they've done all kinds of research about stress. Okay. So you're putting yourself into a specific type of stress that prevents you from having other stress, that actually suppresses your immune system in a lot of ways, and you pay for it down the road. There's people that do this just from having a stressful job. They do this exact thing just from being a stressful job or something like that. And they constantly work, and they don't get sick until they're on vacation or until they retire. Sometimes they don't get sick at all until they retire. And all of these serious health issues and things come out of the blue and they have all kinds of problems after they retire. And they're like, where did this come from? Why does retiring do this? It's because you were in a specific stress response that made it so you couldn't recognize it, couldn't deal with it, and you didn't see the slow progression of illness. And so when you don't see that slow progression of illness, it sneaks up and builds and becomes more and more of a problem until all of a sudden you either catastrophically fail or you take a break and your body's like, oh, we're finally not stressed enough that we can look around and see what's going on and actually start to deal with things. And then you feel terrible because now you get to see the reality of what's there. When you actually get to calm down and relax, when you finally get off of ketosis and eat normally, you get to see the reality. Is that's why it makes you feel so terrible when you switch from doing keto to something else, is because you get to see the reality of what is being hidden by you being in ketosis. I know a lot of people are going to hate this, and that's fine. I don't care because this is true and it is super detrimental to put yourself into ketosis long term. It will mask your ability to see slow progression of illness, and it will eventually be something that causes serious problems. You'll be able to blame it on a variety of other things because it's not going to be so obvious that it was just your diet that did that. But it will deplete your overall ability to function and have health. Anyone that wants to call in, if you have any questions, if anyone's actually watching currently, I'm still building up a following that just recently started doing it online. I work with clients a lot, but trying this online thing. If you want to call in, the number is 816 826 1533. Again, that is 816 826 1533. You can call in and ask any questions while I'm on this show. If you have any questions while it's not live, just put them in the comments. Now, that's the main like overall arching view. But let's get a little bit into more of the details of what this is doing by putting you into ketosis. And the other reasons why I would rather go, there's 100 different ways to accomplish getting you healthy. And I would never use this diet for health. You may be able to use it for feeling better and losing weight, but that does not mean you're getting healthier. Just because you feel better and losing weight does not mean it's healthy for you. It really isn't. So ketosis, or the keto diet, can make you feel better and lose weight, but it does not help health. It is not for health. It may be for energy and weight loss, but that's it. Other than that, it's not good for you. So let's get into some of these other details. When you go into ketosis, yeah, you're going to use more fats and other things like that, but you're going to force your body to burn fat. And actually, any diet, this doesn't just go for the keto diet or anything like that, but any diet that forces you to just lose weight, that whether it's restricting of calories or other things like that, if you are losing weight just for the sake of losing weight and forcing your body to burn fat, and live on fat because you're living on fewer calories, unless your cleansing organs are open to be able to remove all this garbage, you are doing more detriment than you are help for your health. To lose weight and ignore health can destroy health. If you create health that causes you to lose weight, you long term can sustain it and you'll be healthy. But if you actually if you lose weight just for the sake of losing weight, you're going to cause health problems long term. It doesn't just losing weight to lose weight does not just mean you're healthy. And in that process, it can actually cause problems because what does your fat have in it? When you force your body to just consume the fat, that sounds like a good idea. Yeah, let's switch our metabolism and make it burn fat. Why is it not doing that currently? Why did it even put fat in your body in the first place? Did it say, oh, we just need to store a lot of stuff because we need food storage? Probably not. There's a possibility, but probably not. When they've done assays on fat, they did assays on cadaverous fat, cut it up and sampled it and checked and sees what's in it. And they found nearly every toxin to mankind. Our fat is generally very toxic because we're so absorbent as human beings. And our fat cells will more commonly be built to imprison the stuff our body couldn't deal with. Chemicals that it wasn't able to process because the organs aren't processing chemicals very well. To put in metabolic waste that we weren't able to get rid of, to put in foods that weren't able to be processed that just got put in there, to put in anything the body couldn't deal with so it continued to operate. So people that have extra weight can appear to be very healthy in their numbers, except for weight. They can look like they're healthy in every other aspect but their weight. And that's because their body took all of their unhealth, all of the bad things that are going on, and shoved it into that weight. And so if you're going to start to force the body to eat fats instead of eat what you're currently consuming. Now, what you might consume might be as bad as what's in your fat, and that's why you have so much fat. But if you force your body to eat fat that is on your body, it is the worst thing that it can eat. It is one of the worst foods for it because not that fat's bad, but what the fat is putting in prison to keep there so it doesn't interact in your circulatory system. So it doesn't interact in your day-to-day operation. And so you to say, I'm going to force this body to lose fat. I'm going to force it by ketosis or intermittent fasting or whatever it may be. If you're going to force it in that aspect, what you're going to do is you're going to force it to release toxins without the capacity to remove those toxins. And you are going to put a greater strain on the cleansing organs. So you have five main cleansing organs of your body. You have your skin, you have your lungs, you have your liver, you have your colon, and you have your urinary tract. Okay? And only four of those have an exit. So your skin, your lungs, your colon, and your urinary tract have exits. Your liver does not have an exit. It has to send it to everything else. But your liver is what's going to, in general, filter out all the garbage and then send it to one of the exits. So you are going to put major strain in ketosis. First, the liver is going to have to do a lot of work to turn this fat into energy, okay, to create all of these things. We're already going to put a heavy load on the liver just merely to burn that versus glucose. On top of that, we are going to accelerate its necessity to get rid of toxins. So we are going to significantly raise the work the cleansing organs in the liver have to do. So that's not going to be healthy for the liver, and it's not going to be healthier for the body. You may be able to force the process. You may be able to strangle your body into submission and make it have more energy and lose weight. It sounds so contradictory. But the protection mechanism that we have for not having grain to eat is ketosis. The protection mechanism that we have for not being able to get glucose or other sugars that are easier for our body to use, our protection mechanism for not being able to get those is to go into ketosis. So the keto diet is to put us into having to be in that self-defense mechanism. It is a self-defense process. When we are being attacked or we are restricted because we can't get it, we are in a situation that we have no other choice, that all we can do is eat meat because we can only kill deer and there's nothing else to eat. Our body has a solution for that abuse, for that it has a solution for that extreme thing that is happening. When we have an extreme thing happening, our body has an extreme response. And that extreme response is to give us extra energy and to make us extra functioning during that time so we can get out of this survival mode to thriving and operating and using other systems. But no, we're not using that extra energy to figure out how to stop doing this. We're not figuring out, oh, I'm using ketosis for a launch pad to have enough energy, to have enough clear thought, to actually get some things done, to be able to not have to do this. If you're not using it as a launch pad, you're using it wrong, because our body only ever naturally would have ever considered using it as a launch pad, as something like, we are in the wilderness, we're surviving, all we can have is meat, and because there's nothing growing, we need to find a place to live. We need to start to grow our grain. We need to get to the point that we can actually make bread again and actually have things that we can survive and live on. And it has a capacity to do that and give you extra energy while doing that, to be able to do the extra work that's necessary to start from scratch and build something that's operating. So you can use it as a launch pad. You could. It does require, now, if you have extra weight and extra bad health and things like that on top of it, it's it can be detrimental as a launch pad. If we can find another launch pad that doesn't have any damaging or doesn't have to overwork certain systems of our body to accomplish it, I'd rather use one of those. But a keto diet could be used as a launch pad. And if that's the launch pad you're familiar with, cool, use it as a launch pad. But you should use it as a launch pad and then learn how to heal your digestive tract and learn how to properly take care of your body in such a way that grains don't cause a problem, that all the different fruit varieties of food that God created don't cause a problem, because God did not intend us to just live on animals. God did not intend us to just live on fats. God intended us to live on the variety and the abundance that He's created, and to just live on the keto diet is to deny the abundance that God has created for us. It is to just limit ourselves to a limited way of doing it, to put ourselves into a fight or flight block, to tighten ourselves up into this bound state that we have no other choice, that our body, in order to survive, creates energy, makes it so we don't feel like we have any health problems, and makes us start to lose weight. That's what the keto diet does to you. And it is not beneficial long term. Be used as a launch pad. Remember, I was saying that the toxins that are in our fat cells, any diet that forces us to have to consume those and use it is not great. We should have to open our cleansing organs. Now, if the organs were open, now we were making sure cleansing organs are open, we're actually moving garbage out. At that point, using a keto diet, I mean, we have a way to get rid of all this garbage. Like, okay, cool, this could be a good launch pad. But if we're not doing that, it's like, why are we? We're putting the cart before the horse. We're causing problems here. Our body should have the ability to have these different varieties. It's important to have these different varieties. There's always this claim of, oh, it makes us, it takes care of our metabolism, it makes us so we process sugars better. No, you're not processing sugar, you're just processing something else. So we appear to get better with insulin, we appear to get better with all these things. But the only way then you know if you're better, the only way you know if your digestive tract is operating and you're healthy is if you could consume even foods that aren't great for you, any of the foods that are out there that you could eat, even if they're more processed. If you can eat them without them making you sick, you have finally healed your digestive. But until you can do that, and if you're just avoiding to feel good and shoving yourself into one diet or the other that makes you to feel good, you're avoiding and you have not healed anything. And you'll probably continue to degrade. You'll probably end up with less and less and less and less and less things you're able to eat without it causing a problem. And you might find you have to switch from one diet to another. That's why you see people in the carnivore diet switch to the vegan diet, or the vegan diet switch to the carnivore diet, because they're finally getting a different variety. We're made to have variety. We're made to have variety of emotions and variety of food and variety of different things our body can burn for sugar. And if you're shoving yourself into this lack of variety, it is an unnatural state. It is almost a drug state. It is, if you're in the natural industry and you are touting this, you are a medical doctor 50 to 100 years ago. You are trying to force the body to do something versus working with the body to operate properly. We shouldn't force the body to do anything. We should give nutrients to the body, give it to the system that's needed. We should clean and give nutrients to the system of the body and allow it to operate properly. If you are a natural practitioner and you are forcing somebody into one diet or the other, you don't understand. You don't understand the way that things should work. And you don't understand natural health as it should be. What is natural health? It is cleaning and giving nutrients to the system of the body that's affected and allowing the body to operate on its own. Yes, there may be times when we need to avoid something for one reason or the other, but if that is a long-term thing, you are not fixing the problem. Avoidance is not the solution. Avoidance will make you feel better temporarily, but you'll continue to have to avoid. If you want to heal, you need to give nutrients to the system that's affected and allow the body to do the work. God knew what he was doing when he created the body. God knew what he was doing when he created grains. God knew what he was doing when he created all of these different things. He knew what was going to happen with genetic modification. He knew what was going to happen with hybridization. He knew what was going to happen with lack of minerals and nutrients and all of those things. And he wanted us to still be able to be healthy in this day and age. And the best thing for us during this day and age is a variety. If you can get organic, maybe that's better, maybe it's not. Watch my video on minerals where we talk about you can use a refractometer and actually look at the mineral quality of the food. It's better to find something that has good mineral content than it is to find something that's just organic, because that term now is owned by the government and doesn't protect you as much as you think it does. To use food, God doesn't want us to be scared to use the foods. If it's close to the source that it grew, if God allowed it to actually grow, you're better with that than you are with something that's processed. It may not have the optimum mineral or anything else, but you have the things that grew. Animals grow, and the closer you are to its source, the better you are. Meat is not far from its source. It's cut up and packaged. So you're a little further from the source when you grind it. White flour is way further from its source than if it's just freshly ground. And just using it straight as the seed is even better. The closer you are to the natural source and the way that the thing was grown, and I can't think of anything that we consume or would want to consume that doesn't grow naturally. I'm talking about animals, they grow naturally. I'm talking about food, other foods like grains and vegetables and fruits, they all grow naturally. Okay, so anything that God created that grows naturally can be used for our food and should be used for our food and should be as close to its growing source as possible. How far did we get from the point that it was completely grown? How far have we moved away? That determines how good the food is for you more than anything else. Not the type of food. Oh, grains are better than fruits, or fruits are better than vegetables, or meat is better than them all. Whatever, it's not true. They are all equally good for you in what they do. They all have different things that they do, and they have different functions of our body that they work. If you decide to not work out your ability to use grains, if you ignore the part of your body that processes grains, and if you don't lift the weights of processing carbohydrates, you will have a weakened muscle for processing carbohydrates. If you strengthen your muscle to just process fats and things like that, that'll be a stronger muscle. Well, it will be until you overwork it. If you only work that and it's not designed to work as hard or as long in lifting those weights, then you're going to wear that system out. Our body is designed to use different muscles, use all of its muscles. And there is a muscle in a sense. It's not really a muscle, but we're going to call it that. There are muscles for processing grains. There's muscles for processing fruits and vegetables and meat and all of them. And do you decide to just exercise one and ignore all the other? To do the keto diet is to ignore the other muscles that you have in your body to process the different varieties of food. And we should exercise all of our muscles. If you ignore the muscle for processing carbohydrates, it will get weak. If you ignore the muscle for processing fruits and vegetables, they're going to get weak. If you ignore the muscle for processing meat, it's going to get weak. We need to exercise them by using them. And if they bother us now, it's like when I break my arm, snapped it into, I actually did this. I broke my arm. And then if I moved it, it hurt and it caused problems. So then for a while, it was beneficial to avoid moving my arm because it wasn't knitted together and it would hurt anytime I moved it. But if I decided that now I can never move my arm because moving my arm makes it hurt, I would not be able to do this. And then later on, it's like if I when I first get my cast off and I could barely move it and it hurts to lift things. If I decided, oh, it hurts to lift things, so the solution is not to lift it, that muscle will never get stronger. If you decide just because grains cause a problem for you to never eat grains, you're going to just long term not fix your ability to eat grains. Now, there are actual true allergies or true diseases that get to the point you can't do that. Now, I'm not talking about that thing. What I'm talking about is if you just have a sensitivity to a food and you avoid it, you diminish your ability to eventually consume it. You should strengthen your muscle. Now, that doesn't mean like eat it exclusively. If I've had clients that as I started to work with them, this one that she had like 15 different items she could eat, even spices, like nothing. She couldn't eat anything. And when she started taking our herbal formulas, the ones we specifically used with her was our colon restore and our colonies. And as she consistently started to use them, she got to the point that she was like, it's intoxicating the different foods I can eat. And then she would, just because she hadn't eaten in a while, would eat a bunch of it. And then she'd feel sick from it. And then it would set her back. If you, when I broke my arm, I only had this much movement when I got the cast off. It took me a long time before I could get full movement and full strength. And if I tried to do a normal day of what I can do now of movement or lifting, it would be impossible and it would destroy it and it would set me back. And so you have to have wisdom in the way that you introduce what you used to have a problem with. You have to have wisdom in the way you strengthen your muscles to be able to utilize different foods. You should be able to use them all. And it's just because you have weakened systems, weakened muscles, weakened processes to use that substance. So if you just want to have energy and not have weight, do the keto diet. But if you want to have long term health and be healthy, I would avoid it as anything other than just a launch to have enough energy and clarity to do what you need to long term be healthy. The keto diet is long term detrimental. Now, a lot of people are going to disagree with me on that because they've been on it long enough. You have to realize that what would show up, it's going to be 30 years from somebody consistently doing a keto diet before we're going to see really severe things happening. It's going to be people that have been on it for 30 years. If you have not been on it for 30 years consistently, then you're not going to be seeing these problems as much. There will be degradation. And if somebody's already has severe problems and they get on it, it's going to be more. So these people, they say they've been doing it for a long time. I don't know what their health was to begin with. If they already had pretty decent health and they were just using it to tone up or whatever, they're not going to notice it so much because they're already good health. It's those individuals that already have poor health that do it for a very long time that are going to magnify their health issues. Yes, it works in all the ways they say it works. But how does it work in the ways they work? Ugh, I'm going to say that again. The keto diet works in all the ways they say it works. But the reason it works in those ways is because it puts us into a chemical stress response that causes us to feel that way, but not actually be that way. It is, in a sense, a painkiller or a number or some way for us to not recognize what is actually happening because it has forced us into prioritizing the chemical stress response. And in that chemical stress response, we'll feel good, have energy sometimes, and we will lose weight. But it did not fix any of the problems. It just flipped off all the switches so you couldn't recognize or feel or smell or taste the problems the same way because of the stress that it put you into. It does not heal, it does not repair, does not fix. What it does is puts you into a chemical stress response that gives you the ability to ignore. Not consciously. You will subconsciously ignore all of these things, and so your conscious mind, it will never be presented to your conscious mind And so you will feel better because your conscious mind has been limited from the recognition of these things, because your conscious mind needs to prioritize what your body has decided needs to be prioritized because the chemical stress response that you've been put into because of ketosis. There's other diets that we're going to talk about that do similar things. I would say this one is one of the no, there's a lot of them that are really damaging long term to health. There's so many different there's principles that we could take from this. There's the ability, like sometimes we just need to get somebody thinking clearly enough to be able to take the right steps to use herbs and to function properly. And if this is what they know that they could do to it, I would say okay, do that, and let's work towards fixing everything else that needs to be fixed, so you don't have to stick to this, so you don't have to stay on it. Because if you have to stick and stay to the keto diet to feel healthy and it restricts you from everything else that God created for you to be able to use, you didn't fix anything. All you did was find a convenient way to avoid it. Find a convenient way to avoid your problems, to not address the elephant in the room, to just avoid it, to say, I don't care about my relationship with all my foods. I only care about feeling good. It's like in a family. I grew up with 11 siblings, well, 10 siblings, 11 including me, and we all have our different personalities. And if we just didn't fix anything that went on, if we didn't have any discussions and fix it, if we just decide, fine, I don't care, I'm going to just ignore all of you and do my own thing. I'm just going to ignore you because it makes it better. I don't have to talk to any of you. I don't have to have a relationship with you. And that's oftentimes what we do. But it doesn't fix anything. If you want to have a good relationship and actually have a relationship with all of them, you would need to fix your issue with each individual one of them. And so, are you going to do the keto diet and not fix your relationships with each of the foods? Or are you going to actually, sorry, I thought somebody was calling in, or are you actually going to fix each of those issues? So, let me say that again because I got the call and I thought I got sidetracked. So, are you going to do the keto diet and avoid fixing your relationships with each of your foods? Or are you going to fix your relationship with each of your foods so you don't have to limit yourself to any diet? Just like if you want to enjoy family reunions, going and seeing your family, if I wanted to be able to enjoy going and seeing all of my 10 siblings, I would need to make sure I fixed the relationship well enough with each of them that I could comfortably be around them and I could operate around them and they don't make me sick or feel bad. And that's the same with food. Are you fixing your relationship with each of these foods, or are you ignoring your relationship with each of the foods? Are you using the keto diet to ignore your relationship with each of the foods? Are you using another diet to ignore your relationship to each of these foods? Or are you fixing your relationship with each single food? Because if there's a food you can't handle, you just have a bad relationship with it. And you need to figure out, what is our relationship issue? Why do I have an issue with you? Is it an emotional issue with you? Is it a physical issue with you? Is it a hormonal issue with you? What is my issue with food with you? There are so many different foods they blame for different health problems and all these sorts of things. It's a relationship problem. You don't have a good enough relationship with it. You do not have your boundary set up, your defenses set up, your ability to take that food in, and for all of your organs and everything to have a good relationship with it the whole way. So if you want to fix your relationship with food, then I mean, stick around, talk with me, work with me. You can see my company, it's Henifest. So you can go to henifest.com and you can see what we have to offer there in the herbs. And you can start to fix your relationship with foods. The number one thing that I've been so blessed to have, that I've been so blessed because my dad's started working with clients in 1980 and he made these formulas and they just work so great. And I've been so blessed because when I come across a client that has bad relationships with food, has diminished capacity to eat things, I haven't had to resort to extreme diets. I haven't had to resort to all of these different things because I can use our digest for our colon restore formula, and I can use our colonese formula. Generally, I'll use those together. give them 3 of the colon restore and 6 six, how many is that? 6 of the colon restore a day. And that makes it so I don't have to restrict food the same way. Generally, I'll tell them if something obviously it bothers you, avoid it for now. But other than that, you don't have to change your diet and change your life drastically. And actually, there's generally significant improvement just from that. There's often significant improvement only from using those herbal formulas. I'm so blessed that my dad created those formulas and I already have, and then I'm able to use those. And in my practices, I've taken them and I've had to make little adjustments as I need to. But as I use these herbal formulas, I'm so blessed to have them because if I didn't have them, I would be caught in the same trap as a lot of other practitioners that I see. So many people are caught in this trap of having to do a specific diet, that they have to avoid specific foods that God created that we should be able to consume because they didn't have my dad. They didn't have this ability to use these formulas to make it so they didn't have to avoid foods, that they had to be so restrictive in what they're doing with food and blame everything on gluten or blame everything on carbohydrates or blame everything on vegetables and fruits and grains and only meat does it or blame it all on meat. I don't have to blame it on any of them because I'm lucky to have this stuff that I'm able to use with my clients. So I don't have to over restrict a diet to be able to get success. I think it's ridiculous to have to over restrict a diet because over restricting the diet doesn't just limit what you can eat, it limits who you can interact with, right? If you currently have a way of eating and you socialize, if your friend comes into town and say, hey, let's go out and eat. And now, if you change your diet so drastically, you're going to be weird in this instance. And now we're going to talk about what you're eating during this dinner versus whatever else you would have talked about. There's an emotional, there's a physical emotional response, there's so much that goes into our food. It's not just a choice of what we're eating. When we choose what we eat and to change it, we also change our social environment, and so that needs to be thought about and taken into consideration. The other thing that we should, apparently, whenever I put my thumb up it does that bubble. So apparently, so the other thing we need to take into consideration is how the, I just said this. My brain just shut down because that thumbs up just knocked it out of my head. But we have to take into consideration the emotional aspect as we do the physical aspect of consuming this food. We can't just say, oh, this is the food we should just eat. But there's social and emotional aspects to it. Now I remember the other aspect that we have to take into it, changing our diet. Something we really need to think about is our conscious mind can only handle, and our subconscious mind, our conscious mind can handle huge things. We can make it do whatever we want. But our subconscious mind can only handle a 20%. It's only 10% of people in this world, only 10% that can make a goal that's higher than 20% of what they've done in the past or more than 20% of what they are currently and follow it to accomplishment. That they can stick to it, they can believe it, and they can do it. Only 10% of people. So that means likely you're not one of those people. Maybe you are, and that's great. So this information isn't for you, plug your ears. But for those of you that are 90% of the people, you need to set goals that are only 20% more. So to 100% change your diet from what it is to something else is too much. You should make a 20% change. And why do I say that? Because we want our subconscious on board. If you make a goal that's more than 20% of what you've currently done or change your life more than 20%, your subconscious will start to sabotage. And your subconscious is what heals you. Your subconscious is what runs the metabolic processes. Your subconscious is what determines how we're using food. You do not want your subconscious sabotaging you if you want to get healthy. And these extreme things that we do not invite our subconscious along. But if you make changes that are 20% changes, and you make goals that are 20%, and they end up being exponential growth when you do this right. But when you set goals properly, that your subconscious is able to follow along with you, you'll get more success. You shouldn't change so drastically in food. And that's why I love That's why I'm so excited. That's why I love what I do in this instance. And I'm so thankful for my dad. That's why I'm so thankful for my dad, because he created herbal formulas that make it easier for me to not have to change somebody's life more than 20%. So, because of these herbal formulas, I don't have to tell you to go extreme on diet. I don't have to move your life more than 20%. I'm able to help you to have success very quickly because of what my dad already created by using the colon restore formula and the colonese formula, using 3 of the colon restore, 6 of the colonese. By using that, I don't have to push you beyond that 20% line. I can use an herbal formula that gets the job going, and then we can make 20% changes when it comes to your diet or lifestyle or other things like that that are lifelong changing things that make it so you can be successful long term versus short term successful and miserable down the road. Anytime, we don't have enough time for you guys to call in again, but yeah, if you're starting to get interested in this, I do this every morning, every weekday. Now, there are some times when I'm not on merely because I'm out of town or something like that, but any weekday that I'm at home, I'm doing this podcast, and you have the ability to call in. And all you got to do is just dial the number 816 826 1533, and you'll come up on my phone here. I'll put a little speaker on, and we'll be able to talk about what's happening, what your health concerns are, your questions. And if you have questions when I'm not on live, go ahead and leave them in the comments. I'm excited to continue to share this. The next couple days, I'm going to talk about different diets. We just talked about the keto diet. Tomorrow, I'll probably talk about intermittent fasting, because that's another popular one I hear a lot. I'm going to go through these different diets and break up why I feel that they are detrimental. But just as one principle will tell you why I feel they're all detrimental is because they shove you into one box and they prevent variety. Any diet that prevents variety, I believe, has missed the mark. They are created by someone that does not understand health in the natural realm of things, does not trust the body to give the nutrients to the body so it can operate and run on the varieties of different fuel that it's been given. Our body has been given a huge opportunity, a huge variety from God of different fuels it could run on. And we don't need to neglect any of these fuels because our body functions best on a variety of fuel versus one variety of fuel. We do not run on one fuel alone. And if we try to run on just that one fuel, we're going to struggle long term. We need to run on as much variety of fuel as possible. I will see you tomorrow, same time. Uh, I'm in Missouri, so I'm on Central Time. So I do this between 9:30 and 10:30. Sometimes